You're listening to The Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl. Today we're featuring Billy the Artist. Billy has a very interesting background. He was studying acting as a young man in Cincinnati and moved to New York City in 1990. His first big break came in 1996 when his college buddy was producing or working on the Broadway play Rent and asked him to do the interior landscape, which was a graffiti hallway leading into the play. Since then, he has done and produced brands for such global conglomerates as Swatch, Viacom, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Van Shoe, Suzuki, Hyundai, Toyota, Mountain Dew. I mean, the list goes on. It's kind of ridiculous. Basically, he's known as a graffiti artist who does incredible murals, which have been featured at Woodstock 99, Art Basel Miami, Delaguarda, the Rio Casino Las Vegas, the Broadway, National London Productions, the production of Rent in London. His paintings have hung at the Forbes Gallery as well as other galleries in New York City, Chicago, Miami, Orlando, New Orleans. The list goes on. He's an incredibly sweet character. He's done philanthropic projects for the American Red Cross. He live on New York, the Fresh Air Fund, Covenant House, St. Mary's Foundation for Children. He's just somebody you need to know. Really, his art is almost a 3D style of graffiti, but the character of Billy the Artist goes beyond all of that because basically he likes to be, talk, work, and exist as an artist. Billy the Artist. This is Lydia Lunch, and you're listening to The Lydian Spin with Tim Dahl. Special guest is Billy the Artist. Welcome, my friend.
So unbelievably happy to be a part of this. Thank you.
I welcome you. What's amazing is that you've been on the Lower East Side for 30 years in this fantastic apartment, which is just absolutely your reality of divine color.
Well, I always say, I think when people walk into my home and my studio, I want them to experience who I am. And the one thing is, and I think all of you that are here, when you walk in, you can never be unhappy in this place.
And you know what? The minute I met you, and I was Joey, who's doing the photos for this, that one thing I loved about you instantaneously is that you were joyous. And
I'm the happy artist, man. I'm the happy artist.
You know what? What a relief. Because, I'm sick of miserable cunts. Being one myself. The thing is, I'm not a miserable cunt. I mean, I deal with heavy subjects in negative and aggressive ways, but at the end of the day, in the beginning of the day, I'm pretty joyous.
You know, the time that we met each other a few weeks ago,
yes,
which was glorious. And,
I thought so too.
And I knew so much about you and everything you did and all the amazing shit you've done your entire life. And when I met you, it's like instantaneously, I was like, I love this woman. She is so cool.
We never met.
She's so beautiful.
I knew you.
She's so, and you know what? Listen, people, the most positive, beautiful woman. Sorry, I'm taking it. I know.
No, but Billy, it's so funny because there's only one other person that I know, my buddy Dave Budden. He's from the South, and he says, everyone thinks Lydia's all dark and dreary. She's one of the most positive persons I ever know.
I said this is one of the most delightful women I've ever met in my life.
Up in the morning, participating, contributing, giving back.
This is the Lydian Spin. It's not about me. It is about you. But you know what? Thank you very much for saying that.
But I know you still can be very hardcore. We know that.
Well, I'm hardcore, but the thing is, I'm paid to be hardcore. I keep my cuntiness to the stage. and this is why instantaneously when we met, I was so happy to meet an artist that's not a miserable, long-suffering, chronic crybaby.
Yeah.
Because, I have alligator tears on stage, but I'm very Tim is very positive.
Right.
Tim is one of the most positive people I know. And what I love about Tim always says, Lydia gave me freedom. He's one of the most free people I know. How could I give him more freedom?
Yeah.
But your sense of joyousness, we snuggled instantly.
We had an instant snuggle.
We just had another one.
And you just had another one. Too bad it wasn't filmed, but it looked very snuggly.
Well, you know what? That's for us to do, and you to just think about how it smells.
And I'm sure it smells lovely.
I thought it was pretty delightful.
But you know what it is? Just real quick, it's like I think any time in life when you meet people, and especially someone like you, someone like me, we meet like all sorts of different people our whole lives. You know, we're fortunate to have like ridiculously interesting people in our lives. We do crazy gigs. And, you know, when you meet someone that they, you know, it's like anybody you meet. When you have that connection.
Instantaneous.
Yeah. And it's like.
Sometimes you do.
And can be nothing to do with like you have things in common or anything. It's just like there's just this connection. And when Lydia and I met, it was just like this crazy connection.
He knows James Faherty.
Okay.
And James Faherty, who's a promoter in Florida, who has
Crazy.
been promoting me for years, is the one that said, I want you to come and meet Billy the Art. But I mean, I feel like I've known him my whole life, which is bizarre.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So, you know, you were just talking about crazy gigs. One of your craziest gigs, because not only are you a visual artist, but you sometimes do your visual art on big stages.
Yeah, live painting.
Live painting, which you did with the Young Gods. Was that at the Venice Biennale or?
Yeah, there's moments that change.
20,000 people?
30,000, thank you.
Dude, tell us about that
30,000.
show. Tell us, set the stage, Billy the Artist, set the stage.
Well, no, I started as a street artist here in the East Village like 30-some years ago, selling my stuff on the street. You know, trying to find anywhere that I could find a place to showcase my artwork. I'd bring like little photographs, bars, cafes. You know, one of my first ones was the Tunnel nightclub, and I got to know Peter Gatien. I mean, there's all sorts of stories with that. Anyway, my big break was the musical Rent. I painted all these...
The musical Rent.
Yeah, all these like murals inside the theater. That's a whole other story we could maybe get to.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
But what catapulted my life internationally was... Yeah, I was hired by Swatch to create 2 watches for.
What year was that?
This was 2009.
Okay.
So you'd already been pounding the pavement a long time there, sonny boy.
I was, yeah.
Yes, you were.
I was.
We all
So
have.
how did that just arrive on your lap, or did you know someone?
Look, man,
How
this
did
is. I
We
think,
love these kind of stories.
I think the thing is, like, it's like, you know, I found an email of someone at Swatch, right? And I was working with someone, and like, let's put an email into Swatch and just say like, hey, I think I might be great for your brand, right?
Which looking around, it seems like it's a good fit.
So I sent this like random email with my friend who
Cold
was working
soliciting.
Yeah. And
Love
like,
it.
And wait, it was 2 years later, I got an email 2 years later, and they said, we're thinking about doing an artist series again. The last one they did was with Keith Haring. Obviously,
Of course.
my black line, I get compared to Keith Haring. I prefer when someone says to me that if Picasso, Keith Haring, and Peter Max got drunk at the end of the day, you'd have Billy the Artist.
All right.
That is a very good description.
But anyway, so they saw my artwork and said, you know, we're thinking about you for this artist series. They still weren't set. So 2 guys emailed me, say, we're coming to New York. I thought they were coming to some like art, you know, some fair or something. They came to meet me and another artist.
Yes.
They came in, and when you guys look at the studio, they came in and looked at all this shit around here. And within 30 seconds, they were like right like there in the hallway.
We'll take it.
They started talking in French. And then they were like, this is what we've been looking for the last 2 years. So how this crazy thing happened of me painting live in front of 30,000 people with the Young Gods during the Venice Biennale, Piazza San Marco.
What year?
2009, with color projections of the artwork, like
and
video
it is
mapping.
online. It's online, and it's an amazing thing to watch.
And it started, thank you.
Cold calling.
It started when they all came here for another meeting. And I said, well, I saw like Blue Man Group did like a huge, like every summer Swatch did a massive, massive event. Blue Man Group did a live concert where they like splattered paint on a huge watch, and that was their watch. And I saw that, and I said,
Real
like,
arty.
and it was cool though.
All right.
And I said, well, you know, I could paint live. Why not? And
Had you ever done it before? I mean, you are painting live when you're in the street.
you know what? I
but-
painted at like 1 or 2 like party events, like where I'm just like, you know, I did Polaroids of people and putting them in a mural. I never painted live, dancing
So
to the
you
music.
just said, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And these
Spirit we
beautiful
love.
people said, okay, without even me
All
seeing
right.
doing this.
So,
and this
okay.
was like $1 million production. Okay. And so then they made me do like a videotape, like to see like, okay, so
Practice.
how's it going to do it?
Audition.
And there was never, I already had the gig. It was already, they come up with this idea.
So why did they make you do the videotape?
Just so they
Promotion
could
or-
show, no, so they could show the you know, Mr. Hayek who invented Swatch. That like, this is our idea. We
Great.
believe in him. This is the idea for
Okay.
like the live painting.
All right, so
I had this like round. In fact, see that like that round
yes,
painting
okay, I see
on
it.
the back of that. There's like this little black and white thing that I took like a little video of me like not dancing, just painting it. And I'm saying this is what it might be like.
right, what it might be like.
This is a 30 by 40 foot mural.
Right.
That I did in 45
Not,
minutes.
and that's about
45 minutes.
3 feet by 3 feet.
And
So wait. Say
45
that
minutes.
one more time. 30 by 40 feet mural, which you did
with the young gods.
with the Young Gods in front of 30,000 people live in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, just tell me, how did you feel walking up to the stage?
30,000 people were.
Yeah, we're watching.
Yeah. It was part. It was a part of the.
So it's a
con-
rock concert, basically.
It was a part of the concert
That is
series.
Biennale.
It was part of the concert series.
Okay.
Andre.
Probably the most people they've ever had a gig, and certainly the most you've ever had at one.
Well, the biggest I ever had, but like the next night was Andre Bocelli. You had a lot of people for him too.
Of course. Well,
Did you? But you weren't doing it for them, for Andre.
No, it was part of the concert series.
So, okay.
So I was the first.
Right.
Me and the Young Gods were the first
All right, so
thing
you're
about it.
walking up to the stage to do it. How you feeling?
I'm backstage, and oh my god, they had like all sorts of booze and shit.
Yeah.
it's called
And
green
Food,
room.
snacks?
And so
Any loose snugglers back there? Not yet. Oh.
we had some tequila,
Yep.
and we took a shot at tequila.
Just our shot?
I only did one
You're
shot
so
at tequila.
moderate, honey.
This was I had some wine earlier in the day.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
It's Venice, man. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah, it's good.
You gotta drink.
Good wine. And I'll never forget it. Going to the stage, this like this like young
You
chick.
are now a rock star, actually.
I wasn't the rock star yet.
Yeah, oh, you're about to.
This young chick, she's like, "Oh my god, you must be so nervous. Oh my god,
Fuck off.
You're televising this around the world. Oh my god." And I said to her, "You know what? I feel like I'm home."
Yes.
And because, I made my living as an actor my whole life before that, as I told you before. So I just felt at home. I didn't have to memorize any
No, of
lines.
course.
I just had
You're
to.
doing what you do
I just had
naturally.
to freaking paint.
Yeah. What you do.
And
Be yourself in what you do.
But the
How
one.
did you feel having your ass in the audience face the whole time? Now, that's something,
And you know what?
usually the drummer only gets my ass. I'm
Miles
just
Davis
asking.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool is too, I had a whole entourage from New York come. My brother came with his girl, and it was just it was unbelievable.
And you loved it. You were going up there with love to do what you do. The first time I was going to the stage, which was to audition at CBGB's with Teenage Jesus in, I think, 1976. So, of course, I'd never played live. I'd played at an acid party in Buffalo when I was 14 doing some avant poetry to noise. So I'm like, and Teenage Jesus, I know it's tight, and I know it's one of the weirdest things, but I'm like, of course you're going to be a little bit nervous. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Before I'm at the stage, well, wait a minute. It's not my job to feel panic. It's my job to cause it. And I never had stage fright or felt panic again in my life.
Because you felt at home.
Well, I wouldn't call the dog shit stains of CBGB's with that bad chili by home, but trust me, I did spend a lot of nights there. Yes, I
Well,
did.
it was one of the most iconic music venues in the
How
entire
many
world,
times
man.
did I get thrown out of the bathroom downstairs by Hilly Crystal's wife? I do not recall. Ask her, but she's dead. So,
I have not been thrown out of any bathrooms.
well, no comment.
That's why you and I are like the yin and
Yes,
yang couple of
exactly.
life.
I
That
never
there's this beautiful thing in
I never
behind us, you
sold-
being thrown out of the bathroom, me
Right.
not being thrown out of the bathroom.
I never sold my art on the street, but I did solicit money with a yellow manila notepad when I was, first came to New York. I would go up to women and say, who had children, could you please give $1 for the American Cancer Foundation? Children are born with cancer. I'd only need $10.
Right.
That's all I need to live. Went off. So I was actually practicing
Nice.
my spoken word. This is before
Exactly.
I became an evangelical. So, we do have a kind of a...
You were rehearsing. You were workshopping, as they say.
Well,
You were workshopping on the streets.
HUSTL, hustlers. See, this comes back to this. Sometimes you gotta be. You have to be your own hustler.
Listen,
have to
listen.
network.
If you want to, I always say my two big sayings always, which I think I told you, are create your own reality and no plan B.
And my big song is, it's hard out here for a pimp when you're trying to get the money for the rent.
Hey, money, money, hey,
Hey,
money,
hey.
money, hey.
Cash money, that's all I'm saying. Which, finally, some money was coming to you.
Well, yeah, you know what?
Because now, wait a second, because now you do have merchandise. You have been monetized to some degree. And beautiful things. We're looking at these incredible vases, which are two-sided, color on one side, black and white on the other. You've got purses, you've got cups, you've got dog bowls. No, I mean, the dog bowls should be next.
No dog balls yet.
I didn't say dog balls. I said dog bowls.
Yeah,
and I didn't say
the
down
balls
balls
and the balls will be
either.
next.
You know, big market in pets.
I'll tell you this. Look, when I started, I always believed there's so many other things you can do with your art other than just trying to get into an art gallery. Art galleries are super cool. I got a bunch, but you know, you only get a show maybe a few times a year, if not once a year.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah, galleries take 50%, and
Fuck that.
so like when I first started, I was like, how can I get my art out there? And
Because you want to spread the joy that your art brings.
and I want to make a living doing what I passionately love
luck.
to do.
If
like,
only,
I
yes.
can't do anything else.
We can't do anything. None of us can do anything.
That's
else.
why I
that's-
say no plan B, man.
Well, that's also about opening up your eyes, or like I'm a musician opening your ears, and I have friends that do this. It's like we think of just the commodified piece in itself, but especially in this hyper-capitalistic culture and in Western society, everywhere you walk, there's music. Everywhere you look,
Mostly
there's
bad.
art. Yeah, well, sure,
Right.
sure. But you
Right.
walk into a store, you're being bombarded all the time. So it's like, well,
Why
motherfuckers
not-
are making money off of
Why
all
not
this
have
shit.
some good stuff somewhere?
And you know the thing is too is like they used to say, especially back in like late 80s, early 90s, like, oh, you're selling out. And
Excuse me. How about selling up?
selling up. I like that.
How about
yes.
selling up? I mean, people are, oh, you never sold out. Who wants to buy what I do?
And you know what's funny?
Who wants to buy the truth?
In
There is
the-
not a commodification for reality. Oh, make your own reality. Hence, I'm a juggler.
And you
Hello.
know what's
This is the Lydia and Spin with Tim Dahl and Billy the Artist. Carry on, my friend.
Yeah, it kind of all changed a little bit. Like Murakami, famous artist Murakami, like he had his artwork. I forgot it was like on Gucci bags or one of like high end brands like that. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh wait, it's really cool to have your artwork on products. And I always thought, again, the more people that see what you're about. Again, what's so beautiful about this podcast for you? There's gonna be all these new people
Yes.
that are going to. See
thing
what
is,
you're about.
and
People who
it's-
may not know you,
Of course.
they're going to get to know you better.
And draw the community in of people that, like us, have a different take on reality,
Yeah.
have tried to maintain our sanity, insanity or sanity, and have done what we do without stop, monetized or not, looking for a way to just exist as the artists we are. So therefore, the community that we're trying to draw in with this podcast is people from all different kinds
Exactly.
of creation that have a spirit that will not be defiled or denied.
I always say this. I give the perfect example is, this was kind of right when I was beginning another bigger gig. Mountain Dew contacted me.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So after Swatch, everything exploded, or how did?
Everything. A lot of things exploded after that internationally.
Okay, and
It's weird.
Internationally,
It's
yeah.
like- it's
where
like
they
weird.
respect culture and art.
It's where like more people know me internationally than they do in the United States.
Well, excuse me, we have get more gigs in Europe and anywhere else than the United States. It's the same thing.
I know. So anyway, this was another thing where like I was reading the New York Times and I saw this article on the front page about how, huge, brands are now putting artwork on products
How to be cool, buying cool.
to make them look cooler and stuff like that. And there was like, they had the art director's name from PepsiCo. And I emailed the guy.
Cold soliciting
Billy
again.
the Artist, Hustler.
And
Yes.
you know what I did? I was like, pretended like I had people working for me.
Okay.
Nice. You pulled the
this
Donald Trump.
Hello, this is the Billy the Artist studio, and we think Billy might be really great for this campaign, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? These people, they
Said,
called
okay.
me. There I am at the headquarters of PepsiCo.
Which is in
Purchase, I think.
Okay.
Purchase New York.
Purchase, New York, right?
And
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Yeah. And
Buy
they
our
have,
shit.
they have a beautiful sculpture garden there. It's like really quite incredible. And so I'm like pitching to them. And I was working with a guy who was kind of my semi-agent friend. And I'm pitching them the whole concept of this. Because again, I always say this, friends, and I know Lydia knows this better than anybody. When you meet the person that has the power to say yes.
Yes.
Just get me in that room with that person that has
That's
the power to
what
say
I'm
yes.
talking about.
When I get there, 99.9% of the time, I get the gig.
Well, I can't wait till you bring me into some of those rooms with you, my friend. Although, I mean, other than a slogan on a T-shirt, I don't know what I'm going to be able to commodify, but that's
And
all
so
right.
PepsiCo is much bigger than Pepsi Cola. It's Frito-Lay, it's Taco Bell, it's KFC.
Your tropical,
yeah.
everything. So they were doing this campaign called Green Label Art, or they're going to have Mountain Dew bottles, aluminum bottles, by mainly tattoo artists and graffiti artists. They kind of
Like who? What? You remember any? Like tattoo artists?
I should.
Ed Hardy.
Yeah, no.
Bigger names or smaller
No.
names? New York, L.A.
Look
whatever.
up greenlabelart.com.
Doesn't matter.
and you can
Okay,
find
tattoo
them.
artists. And look, I mean, tattoo artists are highly underrated because there are some really incredible
guys.
artists.
Incredible guys. I know I should
artists
remember
out
the
there.
names.
Doesn't matter. They at least went for tattoo artists, which at that time didn't have the reputation that they do now because with all the TV shows and everybody tatted and etc.
Yeah, my point of the story is that, so like these bottles, there were like 1 million of them in like stores around America, like in Walmart.
Hilarious.
Like, when you're getting like your gas and like, you get like your 6-pack and all that, they were there.
They were there.
And I kept thinking like, you know what?
I got to be there. That's
Well,
what you thought.
no, this was after I already got, hired to do the gig. And I'll show you the bottles right behind you. I'll show you in a second. Anyway, I kept thinking like, more people are going to see my art around America on a Mountain Dew bottle than they will in some elite galleries.
Exactly.
Again, nothing wrong with elite galleries.
No, suits
Love
a
it, love it, love
purpose,
it.
But
But that's where I talk about the more and more people seeing what you're about, and especially now with the way that the world's working with like visuals and Instagram and
all right, well, I'm going to
podcasts
cut it
and
and
all
I'm
this
going to
stuff.
say, let me tell you how I'm a little bit different on this front. For instance, I was on the last episode of Parts on Anthony Bourdain.
Listen,
I didn't see it, you did.
I told you he, in my opinion, was a god to me. I watched all his shows.
Brilliant
For the
writer.
last
Amazing guy.
Like
But
there
let
was
me
never
just-
a show like that, and you were awesome in it.
But that's all right. I
You
didn't
were
see it, but let
awesome
me
in it.
cut in. How many people do you think saw me on that show on CNN? Millions?
Millions.
At least hundreds.
No, millions.
Not one call about anything. Not one phone call, except for my friends telling me I was great. I haven't seen it. Anthony Bourdain wrote the intro for my coming essay book called So Real It Hurts.
Right.
Did not help me. Actually, I had 26 rejections for my book in this country. Too caustic. Now, I know I was, you and I, we know I'm funny.
Yeah.
I think I was funny on that show.
You were fantastic.
There is some preventative measure keeping me from having my face on a coffee mug or a dog bowl. I don't know what that is. You're listening to Lydia and Spin with Tim Dahl and Billy the Artist.
So let me ask you, how much compromise, like, obviously you come up with your first ideas with, say, this Mountain Dew art, and did they go back to the drawing board, or was it pretty much, did it go directly from your hand, and then next thing you know, it's
Listen,
on millions of soda bottles?
You know what? I've been like so fortunate that every single gig that I've done, whether it's like a global brand, something local here in the East Village in New York, I've done tons of stuff with like kids, and no one has ever said,
Do it again.
you know what? One time it did
One
happen.
time.
And are you ready for this?
Curious.
The vice president of the Sony Music, TV, and Film Studios.
Oh, what does he know?
In America or Japan?
No, remember the ones? They were on like 54th
No,
and
54th.
10th
It's right
Avenue.
across the street from Hit Factory.
Mega.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is where
I've been in there.
everybody.
I've been in there, yes.
This is where everybody.
I know. Michael Jackson.
Well,
everybody.
I don't consider these everybody's. Half of them are
Anyhow,
never.
all right,
Anyway,
there are a
go
lot
ahead,
of
go ahead.
people.
the biggest pop stars.
Like they
Ugh,
even had like
good.
on the fourth.
Doesn't matter. Sony.
On the fourth floor, they had like the Sony archives, the master tapes
Yeah.
of like Johnny Cash, Folsom Blues.
Yeah.
Prince.
My friend used to work there, so yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I did like, they hired me to do like 5 different murals throughout the whole thing. And those were like, epic.
That's big time.
Epic gig at that
Yeah,
time.
epic.
It was kind of like, the beginning. This was before Swatch. And
PS.
and so it's interesting, like with people seeing art. So like when you first came in, they have like the loading,
Dock.
elevator that goes
Yeah.
like, up like this.
Loading zone. Yeah.
And so I did like this whole kind of music theme of like, from the 60s to like now. And this guy the VP calls me up. He's like, Billy. He's like, what the fuck about the dinosaurs and the aliens? I'm like, excuse me? He's like, man, you got to get rid of those aliens and dinosaurs. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he literally was so pissed off and that was the premiere like mural when you walk in.
Right.
I'm like, I don't paint dinosaurs.
Or aliens.
So
But
what?
wait, is that
so
what
what
you
happened?
saw?
So
or
it's
what?
like it's interesting. Like a lot of times when people look at art, or my art's kind of like puzzle like pieces.
Okay.
This guy where it was,
Kind
it
of
was a
Picasso.
sun. It was a sun, right? And it was like these lines going around like this. And from one angle, when he pointed it out, I'm like, all right, maybe it looks. It's a sun.
Not an alien or a dinosaur.
And there was another chick, like her hands were like this, with her legs spread, like a, like doing like a Buddha,
goddess pose.
like Tai Chi Buddha
Right.
hippie thing. And he's like, that's an alien.
That's funny.
And he's the first person my whole life and career.
Well, like I said,
and
what
I
did
see him
he know?
occasionally when I see him, and I say, Tony, you're the first person ever
And the last.
that made me change my art, and I just want you to know that.
And I hope he paid well.
I did.
Oh, Billy, you're still in business, and that studio's out of business.
Hello.
I know, it's so sad.
No, I want to go back
That
to
studio
the.
was awesome.
I want to go back pre-Lower East Side because I know you have some history, and I love the story you told me about one of your first nights in New York. So take us back to your childhood as a child actor.
Well, I made my living at very young.
What city?
Cleveland, Ohio, baby.
Oh yes,
All right.
Cleveland,
Love
Ohio.
Cleveland. I love
My
Cleveland.
dad was a journalist
Dead
there.
Boys.
Yeah, man. My dad was a journalist there for 50 years, and he the second largest theater complex in America is Playhouse Square, which my father helped save. They're going to tear them down into parking lots. And so as a kid, I got to see a lot of amazing, at a party with Frank Sinatra and like seeing like these great bands. At the Agora was a very famous.
Right. Yes.
There's so many great
Historical.
venues
Well,
there.
Beachland Ballroom, we just played there.
Beachland Ballroom.
Been to Cleveland a few times.
Yeah. So
So
anyway,
you're how old? You're going to these things when you're 6, 8, 10, 12?
yeah, absolutely. My first concert was Kiss when I was like 13.
You know,
We're not going
it seems
into
like
the
it seems like it's.
Kiss
I'm sorry,
So
but,
many
we
motherfuckers.
You know, I
went.
told you that story.
I know.
Kiss is so many motherfuckers' first concert, and I think it's just because the whole spectacle. I mean, it appealed to little kids.
Look,
it was music for
look,
little kids.
Think about
That's
this.
what it was.
Think about this. I was also into like, I was the more rock guy, like especially the 70s. I
Yeah,
was
sure.
into Pink Floyd and
Right, okay, classic rock.
My brother and I would go to sleep, side one of like Wish You Were Here. If we didn't fall asleep by like Welcome to the Machine, then
Well, I guess it's a testament of how boring that is.
you're
right?
screwed.
Oh, there you go. So, right,
Hey,
you're a
I
rock.
would-
You're a rock kid, and also seen Frank Sinatra.
I would say the word relaxing. It
That's
was a
fine.
relaxing
That's fine.
album as a little
Relaxing.
kid.
All right, so you are between 6 and 12, going to see Frank Sinatra at the Agora Ballroom and falling asleep to Pink Floyd. I see where this all comes in. And then when did the acting bug hit? I mean, you said if Frank Sinatra can do it, I can. Because let's face it, he wasn't a very good actor.
No, look, the acting bug.
Terrible singer.
It started when I was. Like 4 years old. My dad took me to go see a live show, and the lights and everything. And when I was 4 years old, I said to my father, I was like, I want to do this with my life. And he said, like, when you want to be an actor? And I didn't quite understand
Right.
that at the time. I said, no, I want to make my life creative. And I was fortunate to have parents, rather than saying, you can't. That's the hardest profession
go to law
do.
school.
My mom and my father were like, follow your passion.
Great.
So we were, so I was very fortunate to,
Supportive parents.
yeah, man, very helped. And
But you were gonna do it no matter fucking what.
you know what? Yeah, it's just like, I think sometimes in life when I know it sounds so cliched, when you follow your passion, but it's even at a young age, and you just keep
Well,
going.
the thing
and
is,
doing it
but
and
you're
doing
also
it.
talking about this big break with Swatch. That's 2009. So that just also showcases your commitment. It takes
Well,
it takes a second.
Rent was the breaking.
That was a big
point.
break. Okay, and so tell us the story about Rent.
And the thing is with Rent, like everyone who's involved in that show, their whole lives changed.
No, totally. It became an
Everybody.
overnight. Well, not overnight. How long did it take before it really caught on? Before it was
well,
off Broadway and then went on Broadway.
Well, basically what happened, and I'll make this short, is a good friend of mine who I went to college with, he was an actor also, and he was tired of people being in control of power of him. Because when you're an actor, you show up, there's like 10 people making decisions.
Everybody
not
else's
even that.
words.
You're up in the morning. If you're not equity, you're up in the morning, and then you wait in lines, and then you wait in other lines once you're in equity. It never ends.
And and what's crazy is my first after the Gary Busey story, which I told her earlier.
Like, we're going to go.
Sounds
That's
funny.
what I want to get to because you jumped ahead. So go ahead.
My first audition in New York, very first audition after 3 days here was one of those cattle calls, they called it, where like anyone could show up for a Broadway show. There were 600 people. I auditioned for this
How
show.
old were you? This is your first days in New York.
Yeah, this is after the Gary Busey day, like 3 days
All
later.
right, somebody here, how old?
I'm like 21.
All right. So you're
And-
fresh off the Cleveland route in New York.
And it was a show called Down to Earth. The people did back in the day Sophisticated Ladies, which was a big hit, and there are all these like stars in it. And long story short, I got the gig. I got my equity card. I got a Broadway show.
Well done.
3 days into New York.
With my first 3 days.
All right, let's go back to your
Congratulations. That's
first night.
impressive.
Hang on. Let's go back to your first night in New York. I love this story. Because this is almost like Goodfellas or Scarface. So, all right. Wait. So, what did you do? Did you take the Greyhound, the bus, the plane? How'd you get here?
I did. I came on the plane this time. Yes.
All right. Okay. So you came on the plane. You just said, "Okay, I'm moving to New York."
I always dreamed of moving to New York when I was a
Did
kid.
you know what you were going to do? Have an apartment? Have friends here?
I had $250 in my pocket and a place to stay in Washington Heights with my friend Jeff Saver for a month.
Okay. Good. Good.
And he
news.
was conducting a chorus line on Broadway at the time.
All right. When I got
right.
off the Greyhound at 16, I had $200 in my pocket. A lot of money in those days. Didn't know where I was going to stay, but found a place that night. And trust me, still was here for a while. So go ahead. First night. Tell me what happens. You go to a party in Soho.
A friend of mine who I'd worked with that summer, who's now become like a very kind of well-known actor on TV. He's like, I'm Billy, I'm going to show you the greatest night of your life in New York. Your first night in New York. I'm like, fantastic. So we get in a cab. He's like, we're going to the Upper West Side. And he said, we got to make a few like little stops before like I'm going to take this epic party. I'm like, fantastic. So we go to this place on the Upper West Side, Brownstone. And you saw the movie Boogie Nights, right?
Oh, yes.
You know the scene in Boogie Nights where they go to the drug dealer's place, the guy's in the robe,
Yeah,
with
they're
the guy
listening
with
to
the
Sister
firecrackers.
Christian and yeah.
All right, so I go to this place. This is pre-Boogie Nights. I go to this place in the Upper West Side, Brownstone. There's a strung out like hot model chick, and there's a guy in a robe. And I'm like, what are we doing here? He's like, I gotta get some like Coke for my girlfriend. I'm like, what? Meanwhile, I'd never seen Coke. Never had
Smoke
Coke.
pot, smoke
Okay,
pot
all
before
right.
at least.
Maybe at a party or two. I was
A
never,
drag off of a little pinner or something like that.
I had my own TV show when I was a teenager. I didn't do too many
Right,
drugs. and stuff
disciplined.
like
You're
that.
disciplined. You're
I was a
disciplined.
little
TV
disciplined.
show.
You're disciplined. You're disciplined. You're eyes on the prize.
I was.
You are amazing with every step of the way. Tell us about the party. You go to the party.
All right, wait.
Looking for Coke for somebody else.
So anyway, wait. So then the guy's like doing Coke with like it's like the scale thing. He's got the whole scale.
He's got a
thing.
lot. He's got a
Yeah.
lot. Okay.
And so I'm kind of freaking out, thinking like if cops come in here at any moment, I'm gonna be blah blah blah. We go. He gets it to his girlfriend. We go to another place, and then we go to this classic like out of the movie After Hours party in Soho. It's like the loft. 30,000 square foot loft. It's got like neon on the like top. This is all it had. It had like neon like little strips of light. It had a huge table, glass table.
Glass, of course. Always glass in those days.
There was a huge TV, and there was a ping pong table, big sound system, and like one other like kitchen table.
How many people at this party?
At this point, there's only like maybe 10 people,
Okay.
10, 15 people.
So it's
Star-studded.
early after hours. You're talking about 3 a.m. or something
But
like that.
no,
this
you
is like-
said the movie
no.
after hours, not
No,
after hours.
This is
8 o'clock at night. to 9
No,
o'clock.
this was like 12. This is like
Oh,
12:30.
still
Okay.
early, though, for the parties in those days.
Because if you remember the story, in front of the table, on the table, I'm not lying. I swear to God.
I believe you.
It is.
A mound.
It is a Scarface
Mound.
amount of cocaine.
Okay.
This is the main cocaine dealer.
Okay.
All right.
No wonder there's only 10 people
and you're
there.
and you're allowed in. Okay.
But
This
because my
friend.
friend.
Yeah, I know, but
All right,
still,
carry on.
He's the
strangers.
connected
Carry
guy.
on, because the best part's coming.
And so,
Take a little sniff.
I'm like, I'm not saying whether I took a little sniff or not.
come on.
Doesn't matter.
It's
But
been
where
a-
does this go?
All right, look,
So-
I didn't ask if you blew it up your ass. I asked if you took a little sniff. Carry on.
No, the girl. I did the ass on the girls.
Thank you
the
very
blonde
much.
girl's
Oh,
ass.
this is-
Anyway,
I was-
point of the story is, who walks in?
Who?
This is 1987.
Yeah.
Should I guess? Al Pacino?
No.
Better,
Okay. All right.
better. Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
So Gary
Who,
Busey-
other than Nick Nolte, are two of the most insane people out there.
So
but I have to say, kudos.
Gary Busey walks in, and he sits down with this chick. And we're
Hottie,
all-
a hottie? Was he with a hottie?
Yeah, she was beautiful, and he was a guest on Letterman's old show at 12:30. So he's on the TV being
They're watching
interviewed,
him.
and he's watching himself on Letterman, and I'm there, and then he does
Surrealistic nightmare.
He does the complete Scarface.
Face
I swear to God.
down
Face
in
down
the mound.
in the Al Pacino
mound.
mound.
Face down in the Al Pacino mound. Sounds like a song title.
And then
There's
this,
Gary. Does his girlfriend
we-
wipe it off?
yes,
So it looks like he's having a facial basically when he comes up. And
yes.
He was
Yes.
like, he had a female bukkake, like a kukake. Like as if 12 women squirted semen on his face, but only it was dry. Holy
boy.
moly.
Wow, that's quite a description.
Well, I have a big.
So if you run into
lexicon.
Gary since,
No. No.
Has
And you know
Gary
what?
still been running since? I think he's probably still running around the block.
His nephew's got that sausage castle outside of Orlando.
Sausage
Yeah, that's a
castle?
different subject. But go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it was just like, and he never said a word. He
Well,
didn't say anything.
He was watching himself.
Yeah, and then when he was done on Letterman, he just went up and left and didn't say a word.
Because he already had a snout full of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Billy the Artist. I'll be right back. This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and our special guest, Billy the Artist, a joyous man if ever there was.
Do you ever go by Bill the Artist?
You know what's funny? When I was younger, I was Bill. My last name's Miller, so it's like Bill Miller. And what's funny is like friends of mine still from like high school, they call me Bill.
I don't like it. I
It's
like
so
Billy.
weird.
I like Billy.
I'm such a Billy.
You are.
But Bill the Artist was play on words, you know.
You know how I became Billy the Artist?
Tell me.
You know, like when you hang out at a bar, nobody knows each other's last names, right? So Bull McCabe's on St. Mark's between 2nd and 3rd. Where I've been hanging out there for 30 years. I go in there, there's like Wall Street John. There's three Rons on the block. There's Tattoo Ron, Piercing Ron, Rock and Roll Ron. There's Glenn the Mailman. There was this guy, Vietnam Mike. He had like 3 teeth. And he'd be like, "Hey, who wants to do a shot? Vietnam Mike." And so
you're a branding genius, is basically what you're telling us.
No. So no, they made it up. So like my career started getting
Because you were doing like scribbles, doodles, and drawings in bars when you were going.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You
and
were
it
always
was-
doing drawings.
I've actually a book
You
coming
had your
out.
notebook of your original drawings from bars.
Yeah, it's called Things You Don't Hear Twice, Quotes from the East Village. Like these crazy
Fantastic.
quotes that you hear from the East Village that I would have my sketchbook in the back. People say like, crazy
Who's
shit.
publishing that?
You know what? Nobody.
Not yet, but it's coming
Not
out.
yet. Yeah, yeah.
Here's our cold soliciting right now.
That's right. We're call out for Billy the Artist. Quotes from the Lower East Side. Things you've only heard once, or
Things you like quotes from the East Village.
quotes from these.
Things
Things
you only hear once.
Give us a few of those lines if you remember any of them.
Oh, there's like the first one. The mother and daughter are talking about artificial insemination, and the mother says to the daughter, "Why can't you get pregnant the way I did?" And she says, "Because I don't like vodka, mother."
Nice.
That's a good
Vietnam
one.
Mike. Vietnam Mike.
Maybe we should do a dual book because I'm working on my book Confucius. It's one-liners, 1,000-page long, not numbered.
Brilliant.
This could be a flip book.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like even Vietnam Mike. I forgot that he was like, he was a paratrooper in Vietnam. And our friend Buddy, he parachuted like on Sunday, and on Monday I'm like, I totally forgot. I was like, Mike, have you ever parachuted? Completely forgot, And he was like,
Wait. You totally forgot, and then you randomly asked him if he's ever parachuted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he said no, but I repelled into a burning fire of chaos. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to drop a rude one here. I'm like, excuse me if my breath smells like shit. I've been talking to assholes all goddamn day.
I said, Mike, I'm sorry. My bad.
Billy, there many women have come before me, but none have come as hard.
There you go.
That's what I'm
I
talking
can
about.
feel that.
Confucius and quotes from the Lower East Side, soon to be a flip book with Billy the Artist and Lydia Lunch.
We'll do a book tour together.
I cannot wait. I'll do live readings. You'll do live drawings and readings.
Perfect.
I think we got a deal here. All right, let's call. Who should we call for this? Who should sponsor it? Trojan?
Working on it.
I think Trojan would be damn good.
Working on it.
I love some products, that I use. I think whiskey, cigarettes, condoms should support my life because I support their fucking business.
And a little.
So step right up, Trojan.
All right, so let me go back to the Billy the Artist.
Please.
The finality of the end of like how I got my name is things started going better. And our friend Motor City James, who was the legendary bartender in the East Village back in the 90s.
What bar?
Bull McCabe's, baby. Bull McCabe's, still go there.
Joined.
And he people were like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this gig Billy got? Which Billy? That guy
Right.
Billy who
Oh, there you
paints.
go.
That guy, the artist guy. That guy Billy, the artist." So I'd be walking down the street and people would be like, "Yo, Billy the artist. All right, man. Billy the artist." And
But
it stopped, trademarked it.
Hello, it's like it sticks. How did I get my name?
I know.
Walking down the street, stealing food for Mink DeVille.
Right.
Willie DeVille goes, Lydia Lunch. Like glue. I didn't even have a band yet.
Yeah, it's
But
brilliant.
I have to say, it sounds porno, so I like it. Once
It's a great name.
Once I tried to call Russ Meyer up for an interview. I said, Russ Meyer, because Lance Loud, who was in The Mumps and American Family and the Warhol scene, had interviewed me. He goes, you should call him up for an interview because I'm putting this book out. And I call him up, call again. I go, Russ Meyer, it's Lydia Lunch. What are you doing? He goes, Lydia Lunch. It's the greatest name in showbiz. He didn't know who I was. He probably thought I was a porno star. Anyway, never got that interview,
Lydia's
but
also-
did interview Kid Nativa Dot years later.
Oh, yes. And Lydia's got a few aliases as well, including Big Lou.
Hey, you gotta bring that bastard out now?
Big Lou?
Lady Gaza.
Lady Gaza. Stella Rico.
Where does Lady Gaza come from?
Well, hi, where do you think?
Or Aunt. Wait, was it? No.
Biggie motherfucking Smalls.
Antichrist.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, I know where that comes from.
Well, come on, that's only reality.
No, but do you
Make
have any
your own
aliases?
reality.
Do you have any aliases? It's just Billy the artist.
Well, you know what? I don't have any more other interesting names. As
But you know, you
have.
only need one. I mean, I have, multiple personalities. I gotta, sometimes you gotta give it a name.
People, sometimes
As they
you know,
said in Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Great film.
obviously BTA. Sometimes people say not as interesting as
No,
Lady
no,
Gaza.
no, well, I mean-
BTA for like Billy the Artist.
Keep that under your gun belt if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There we go.
Maybe I should. My friend does call me Billy the Amish sometimes. So
That has nothing to do with
it's-
you.
I know.
Forget him.
All right,
He's not your real friend.
So you didn't finish the Rent thing. So
Well, everybody, there you go. That was probably his first big showing. I mean,
I'll give you the USA Today version. My friend says, I'm thinking about producing a show. They're doing 7 performances at New York Theater Workshop. I want to bring you there. You're going to love it. Didn't tell me anything about it. I'm going to put a money guy next to you. And he comes over here. We have some drinks. I see this, one of the first incarnations of Rent they were doing for all these producers. Nobody wanted to touch it because it's about East Village artists, people dying of AIDS, and all this drug shit, blah,
Very
blah, blah.
political.
And they didn't see, the essence and beauty and the meaning of what the show was. So I see this show. Every 5 minutes, this guy's next to me. I'm literally grabbing him, going like, isn't this fucking great? And my friend's behind me. Kevin McCollum is his name. He went on to produce In the Heights and Avenue Q and a bunch of stuff.
Superstar, yeah.
Yeah, and his other producers, Jeffrey Sellers, is doing Hamilton. And they're looking at me behind and they're just smiling at me, going like, yeah. They bought the rights to the show the next day. A week later, they wanted to do a recording on cassette of the whole show in one night.
Yeah.
I knew the musical director from when I went to college, and one guy couldn't do it. And he wanted like a cassette version of it so he could, so no one ever saw the show or heard it to give to,
pass around, yeah.
People.
Investors.
And one of these guys he had to do another show. So I sang on one of the first recordings of Rent.
What?
Whoa.
See how you are? I told you were a rock star. I didn't even know it.
And then a year later, when it was at New York Theater Workshop, obviously that's when Jonathan Larson, the writer, passed away the night before the very first performance. And I got the call myself at 9 a.m. from my friend Kevin. And then a year later, they wanted the whole show to be very atmospheric when you walk in. So they were thinking about getting like warehouse spaces in the East Village or the Lower East Side. And then they decided, like, you know what? It might be more profitable or cooler to have it on Broadway. So they chose the Niederlander Theater on 41st Street, where no other Broadway shows were ever successful at that time below 42nd Street. No one went below 42nd
One block
Street.
difference.
Nobody
yeah.
did.
No.
Was that considered off Broadway?
No, basically.
Off 42nd Street.
It was crazy. And so they took this old decrepit theater and they kept it
Which was perfect.
They kept it old and decrepit.
Oh, clever.
And the guy who designed the set, Paul Clay, famous visual artist, Lower East Side, he designed the set, but he and Kevin, they had the idea, and the other producer, they had the idea of like making it very atmospheric when you walk in the theater. So he came here to the studio and he looked at my sketches, from my
Your bar brawl.
yeah, hanging out in these village and bars and doing sketches. And so, yes, I got hired through those
spot.
guys to paint 60 feet of black and white ceiling murals
Nice.
inside the theater, like on the second floor where the main bar is, the restrooms, and it depicted East Village life and the characters in the show. And the show is such a mega success. I was an East Village artist. Even I literally had an audition a week before for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying with Matthew Broderick. They brought in 70 guys. It was me and another guy at the very end after like a 10-hour audition. And they chose the other guy than me.
Lucky for you.
Had I gotten that Broadway gig, I never would have painted those murals.
Right.
And because of painting those murals, changed my life. From that day on, I've been making my living as an artist.
This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Billy the Artist. We're being joyous here, surrounded by the wonderful, colorful Picasso meets Keith Haring meets
Peter Max.
Peter Max. Just saying.